Have you ever heard a myth about a place that looks completely ordinary, but actually has a strange rule that must never be broken? Now, imagine you're driving late at night, all alone, passing an old bridge on the outskirts of a small town. The road is empty, only the sound of your car's engine and the river flowing beneath. Now, answer honestly, if I told you, no matter what happens, never speak while crossing that bridge, would you believe me? Or would you get curious and try it yourself? That bridge is called Knock Bridge, an old wooden bridge that's been standing since the 1800s. It's located on the edge of a small town, far from the main road. During the day, it looks completely normal, just a narrow bridge connecting two villages. But once night falls, the atmosphere changes completely. The trees around it turn into dark walls that block out the moonlight, and the sound of the river below feels like a long, unsettling whisper you don't want to hear. Locals believe the bridge is haunted because of its dark history. They say it used to be a place for executing criminals or army deserters back in wartime. They would usually be hanged right in the middle of the bridge, and from there came the stories that their spirits never truly left. People say if anyone dares to speak while on the bridge, those spirits will feel invited to join. At first, I thought it was just an old story, exaggerated over time. But one night, I was driving home late from work, and my GPS directed me onto the road that led straight to Knock Bridge. I still remember, the way there was pitch black, with only a couple of old houses far in the distance, their lights faint and weak. As my car got closer, I could already see the bridge's worn wooden planks from afar, and I swear, the hair on my neck stood straight up. I thought about turning back, but the detour would have been too far. So, I tried to convince myself, come on, it's just an old bridge, nothing's gonna happen. But strangely, the moment my tires touched the wooden planks, I felt something heavy pressing on my chest. It was like a sudden weight that made it hard to breathe. And right then, I remembered what my friend once told me, if you talk while on that bridge, you'll hear another voice answer back. As soon as my car was fully on the bridge, I could feel something different in the air. The sound of the tires rolling over the old wooden planks was sharp, creak, creak, like bones being slowly broken. That's a sound you'd never hear on asphalt, and every few meters I moved forward, it felt like the bridge itself was breathing. I tried calming myself by turning on the radio, but weirdly, the signal vanished the second I entered the bridge. From playing soft music just moments ago, it turned into nothing but shush static, like a broken TV. I quickly turned it off because the noise only made my skin crawl even worse. Now, the only sounds left were the creaking wood and the pounding of my heartbeat, getting faster and faster. When I reached the middle of the bridge, the air around me shifted. It felt like all the warmth inside the car was suddenly sucked out. My windshield fogged up lightly, even though I hadn't turned on the AC. I wiped it with my hand, but the fog came back just as quickly. And it was so strange, because the weather outside that night wasn't even cold. That's when I started to feel something, like someone was watching me from behind. You know that uneasy feeling when you can sense eyes on the back of your neck? The kind that makes your throat dry and forces you to want to turn around? Yeah, that's exactly what I felt. My hand moved on its own, and I glanced at the rearview mirror. The backseat of my car looked darker than usual. Much darker. The headlights that should have reflected a little light inside weren't reaching that part at all. It was like a thick shadow was sitting there. I stared for a few seconds, hoping it was just a trick of the light, but the longer I looked, the more I felt something was sitting quietly in that seat. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest, and I quickly turned my eyes back to the road, pretending not to notice. And that's when my ears picked up something that nearly made me stop breathing. A sound, faint, soft, like a whisper. But it wasn't coming from outside. It was inside the car, from the back seat. At first, I thought I was just imagining it out of panic. But the sound grew clearer, like a heavy breath, someone struggling to speak but holding it back. I froze in the driver's seat. I told myself silently in my head, "Don't open your mouth. Don't say anything. Remember the rule." I focused on the road, my hands sweating so much they slipped on the steering wheel. But humans can be stupid when they're scared. Sometimes we don't realize our mouths move on their own. And that's exactly what happened to me. Without realizing it, I muttered quietly, almost like I was just talking to myself. "Come on, hurry up, don't let me get stuck here." The world instantly stopped. From the backseat of my car, right next to my ear, another voice suddenly answered my mutter. The voice was faint, soft, but ice cold, like it came from the throat of someone who hadn't been alive for a very long time. "Why are you in such a hurry?" I froze completely, my hands locked on the wheel, my legs shaking on the gas pedal. That voice wasn't an echo, it wasn't in my head. It was a stranger's voice, crystal clear, coming from my backseat. I didn't dare turn around. I knew if I tried looking in the mirror, I'd actually see something sitting there. But what almost made me pass out was the cold breath that suddenly brushed the back of my neck. So faint, yet so real, like someone was leaning close behind me, whispering those words only inches from my ear. I tried to ignore it, forcing myself to keep my eyes on the road, but my hands and legs shook uncontrollably. What made it worse was the strange smell filling my car, a metallic stench. Like rust mixed with something rotten, it kept getting stronger. At that point, I knew I wasn't alone in my car anymore. Instinctively, I slammed the gas pedal. My car shot forward, tires screeching against the wooden boards of the bridge. I had only one thought: get off that bridge as fast as I could. But strangely, the bridge felt longer than usual. It was like I'd been driving forever, yet the end never appeared. Behind me, I could hear something shifting. The wood of the car seat creaked, like someone heavy had just sat there. I fought the urge to look back. I knew if I did, things would end even worse. I clenched my jaw so hard it felt like my teeth would crack, focusing only on the road ahead. Finally, after what felt like hours though it was only seconds, I made it off the bridge. The moment my tires touched solid asphalt, I felt a wave of relief. But it lasted only for a heartbeat, because when I glanced at the rearview mirror, I swear, I saw a pale figure sitting in the backseat. The face was blurry, more like a gray shadow, but the eyes, hollow, dark, like endless pits. And its lips curled into a thin smile that froze my blood. I floored the gas, driving aimlessly. I didn't care if I got pulled over by another car or even the police. All I wanted was to get as far away as possible. After about 15 minutes, I spotted an old gas station by the roadside. I swerved in, slammed on the brakes, and quickly turned off the engine. I sat still, hands trembling, breathing hard. Okay, maybe that was just my imagination, I told myself, trying to calm down. I finally gathered the courage to look at the backseat. Empty, no one there, just darkness. For a moment, I actually felt relief. But that relief shattered instantly, because as I opened the car door to step out and get some fresh air, I heard a faint clicking sound from the back. I turned and saw the rear door slowly creak open on its own. A chill of air spilled out from inside the car, as if something had just stepped out. Goosebumps shot all over me. I knew I wasn't imagining it. That door had clearly opened from the inside. And here's the part one can never forget. When I stepped into the gas station's mini-mart looking for someone, the cashier stared at me with a pale face. He asked, "Sir, you are alone, right?" I said, "Yeah, why?" He hesitated for a moment, then finally said, "When you parked, I saw someone sitting in your backseat, but that person got out through the right door. I didn't see where they went." My knees went weak, because I knew for sure I hadn't stopped anywhere to pick anyone up. Since that night, I've never dared to cross Knock Bridge again. And if you ever find yourself having to drive across an old bridge at night, remember my story. Cross as quickly as possible, don't open your mouth, and never break the rule. Because the moment you speak, they might just speak back. And worse, they might not leave you alone.